What's up, everybody? How's it going? JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance Community on Reddit. We got all kinds of things that have changed a little bit in the background. We're not going to do the normal Weekly Doots list today, but what we can say, at least as far as the Trinity goes, is the price is still above $3,000 and things are moving swimmingly in the ecosystem. DevCon is over now. Is that correct? Are we done with DevCon? This is Nico, by the way. Nico from Lotto PGF. Say hello to the world, my friend.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here. Excited to share some of the exciting news, and yeah, just very happy to be here. I love you guys. For I've been following you for a bit, so it's an honor to be invited to this live stream.
Yeah, man, we're real glad that you could make it, and I can't wait to talk about what you got going on with Lotto PGF. As some of you may or may not know, but you guys are like a public goods funding entity, and so why don't we just we're gonna save the Weekly Doots intro and everything else for a different day, and we're gonna just dive right in with you today, Nico. Nico was introduced to the EV Mavericks podcast by Ben Broad. Ben Broad's been a big contributor to the Daily Doots, Weekly Doots podcast, working with Octant and James over there. And Ben has really been a bonding substrate for like getting us together. Finally, I know we had kind of kicked the can down the road on a couple of calendar dates, and we're glad that you could make it. So let's just dive in. The way I kind of thought about this, and I don't know if this is your tagline, but it's degen for regens is kind of how I don't know if that kind of captures the spirit or not, but that's what I had in my head.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what we're all about. I think the energy right now out there, not only in the Ethereum ecosystem but in the entire Web3 space, is a little bit more degen. I guess we were all expecting and seeing a lot of meme coins and a lot of that kind of like degen energy, with which, to be honest, we've been embracing for a long time. I've been very happy to see and be part of like the regen movement that came out after that, and I think it's time to kind of bring those vibes together, and that's exactly what we're all about. We want to channel some of that degen energy to fund some public goods, build some degen mechanisms to fund some public goods, and get some regen outcomes. That's also how we try to present ourselves to the world, and try to rally everyone into this direction of it's good to be degen, it's good to be regen. Let's get both of these vibes together and get somewhere together. So absolutely, man. Thank you for that intro.
How long has the product been live? And I have the website pulled up here on my second monitor, LottoPGF.org. How long has this project been live, and what is it? What has it helped thus far?
Well, we've been working on the project for, let's say, specifically Lotto PGF 1 year, but there's been a lot of work that's been put in way longer before that. A lot of so the team is more an expert in verifiable randomness and things that go into cryptographic primitives that are meant to, let's say, now we're focused on funding public goods, but like just cryptographic narratives, primitives in general, and a lot of focus into making verifiable randomness available for everyone. And we believed, and as well as a lot of the Ethereum aligned people, that verifiable randomness, like one of the most exciting use cases, is lotteries. I mean, lotteries are probably one of the more used products, consumer products
Yeah,
worldwide.
for sure.
So we believe that if we put them on chain, making the randomness verifiable, making the odds verifiable, and this is where I think our protocol shines more, is like allowing anybody to run these lotteries with those characteristics, to channel all this kind of energy into funding a public good or a charity or a cause that people care about is something exciting, something that we've been seeing a lot of excitement about. Mostly, we've been running experiments in the pop-up city space, like the Zuzalu adjacent communities that they've been helping us with testing and finding if this is actually an interesting use case for funding the common goods that come with creating an entire community that is like a lot more, let's say, meaningful and like the dream of this thing is to almost become a new country, if you want. So we draw a lot of our inspiration from how lotteries were used to fund old nation states, basically, like things like the Great Wall of China, ancient city of Rome, the US. Like a lot of things, a lot of the early US infrastructure was funded with lotteries, like literally Harvard and Yale were funded with lotteries. So maybe we can use lotteries to fund the next wave of whatever comes from coordinating into a new society. So that's been the vision for let's say 6 months, but the project's been started 1 year ago, and we've been working on developing the protocol to make it happen. Now, after all the testing that we've been doing in these pop-up cities and also on Farcaster, we're at a stage where we're ready to launch V1 as a pretty much immutable protocol, which I think it's very Ethereum aligned, right? Just immutable contracts that anybody can use to launch their own verifiable lotteries to fund public goods. And it's been just a lot of exciting work in the past, and we see a big vision coming up in the future. That's why this moment is super exciting for us. And I'm excited to chat about it with you
So you
in
said
this live stream. Yeah.
So you said verifiable randomness. So verifiable randomness is actually your product. This is am I correct? This is a feature of Lotto PGF that other people can use to create and distribute their own lotteries. So Lotto PGF itself is not a lottery platform in and of itself. It's distributing tools. You guys are giving away the tools for others to produce their own lotteries. So verifiable randomness. So is this unique to Lotto PGF, this tool that you've created?
Absolutely. Yeah. So maybe to draw from an analogy, if you can think of like an exchange, like on Uniswap, you can create exchanges, right? Like you can create liquidity pools for two different tokens and then just kind of put it out there. We're kind of doing the same, but for lotteries. You can just create a lottery and fund a public good that you want with our protocol. So, of course, to make this happen, we need to make sure that every lottery that is deployed with the protocol is very robust and it has all the characteristics that are important for such protocol to exist and for such lottery to exist. And that means indeed what you said: verifiable randomness, verifiable odds that are, by the way, configurable by whoever deploys the lottery. But also, like we try to make it as configurable as possible. Anybody who deploys a lottery can decide on the odds. They can decide on the ticket price for the lottery. They can decide on what percentage of the price ticket price goes to fund the public good and what percentage goes to fund the prize pool, and all these things that are pretty much in the contract. So you can verify, you can check everything on chain, and of course participate on chain, get a ticket NFT, and as a proof that you're supporting whatever public good, and for a chance to win a big prize pool, hopefully, because everyone believe in the same vision, in the same public good that you want to fund with these lotteries, And I know it can be a little bit abstract because people can decide pretty much what a public good is and like what public good or cause or charity is being funded. But I think this is also a characteristic of Ethereum. We want to be as neutral as possible and just make this tool available for anyone and try to make it as transparent and verifiable as possible. So yeah, but happy to dive into more like specific examples to make sure that this is clear for everyone what this is all about.
Hani Abu is asking in a back channel on Discord. He says, and I think maybe you answered part of this. He said he'd be interested in how the funds are directed and how that's decided and how they decide the lottery winners. So I think the first part of that you kind of mentioned is that the lottery can be set up with any set of guidelines that the lottery creator institutes. And then it's kind of up to the people if they feel like those are fair, distribution, metrics that they would be willing to chip some money in on or not. And then the other part is, how do you decide the lottery winners?
Yeah, so that is a great question. Everything is in the smart contract, basically, like the decision of the winners. What we're drawing from is traditional lotteries, and when we say lotteries, we mean number lotteries, in which when you pick a ticket, when you buy a ticket, you can pick the numbers, and if the number that you picked matches the number that is drawn, and this is also what you can configure, like what is the frequency of the draw, let's say every week, then you win the prize pool. If nobody's number matches the number that is drawn, then the prize pool rolls over, and then hopefully like the prize pool grows more and more and incentivizes more people to participate. But thanks to the configurable nature of the protocol, we've seen a bunch of use cases where people wanted to have like very low odds of winning, so that they could even have like multiple winners, because all the winners pick the same number and match the winning number, but at the same time incentivize people to fund the public good. So this is what I mean when it's very configurable, and like there are a lot of different ways that you can use the protocol to fund the public goods and incentivize the funding of public goods and causes that you want. So yeah, I hope that answered the question on how the winner is picked. Can you repeat what was the first one? What was the first question?
Yeah, the first question he was asking, like, how do you? Let me go back to it. It says he'd be interested in how the funds are directed and how that's decided.
Right. So because the protocol allows anybody to deploy a lottery, the deployer of the lottery, let's say, decides where the funds go to. Like when you decide what percentage of the ticket sale goes to fund the prize pool and then what percentage goes to fund the cost, then the administrator of the lottery, let's say, or the person who deploys the lottery, can pick what cause is funded, and this can be whatever address they want. And the cool thing is that you can also add multiple. So whenever player is playing your lottery and you want to fund multiple things and let the player decide what public good or what cause is being funded, then they can pick the cause that is that they want to support, play the lottery that is sharing the same prize pool, and then get a chance to win this prize pool while supporting the public good that they want. Which, to be honest, I think is what is missing in like traditional lotteries or like nation state lotteries like the Powerball, where it's like some bureaucrats who decide what public goods are being funded. People don't even care anymore that like public goods are being funded anymore. They only care about the gambling aspect. Yeah. And instead, with our protocol, then people can decide, okay, I want to fund education, or I want to fund this specific project. Or even if they play a lottery that has multiple causes listed, then they can decide which one of those causes they want to support more, and maybe they want to support multiple. Then they play lottery tickets based on those. So yeah, it's very neutral, let's say. Like it's very configurable. It's very permissionless, if you want.
And it's very direct with no middleman. So I was talking to my dad, you would consider me maybe a boomer. He's actually a boomer. And I was talking to him before the live stream today about this. And I was like, I told Dad, I was like, think about it this way. It's not like the old lotto system where they say they're going to give money to education. This is public goods in the modern era can mean a variety of things, like like everything from code bases and regenerative things, that are beyond the large government institution. And his first thing he said to me was like, "Oh, that money didn't go to the education in the first place. It went to the general fund. They just used education as a way to advertise." That. And I'm like, well, he's not wrong. I mean, that's what they always do with these big mainstream lotteries, is they try to sell you on one thing, and then the amount of actual dollars that ends up on a student desk is not nearly as much as what they sold you on. So um so I think in this case, this is what's really important about Lotto PGF. It's really pretty much a one-to-one direct funding to another wallet held by whatever public good entity is the recipient of it. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so, okay, can we lay out let's lay out a situation where we have 100 people with $1 each, and then a person that makes a contract with the lottery attached to it. And so we could assume then that the person creating the lottery would pick one, or could it even be more than one public good thing that they want to fund with different distributions to each thing. So and then if there's a pool of people that's enticing to, then they could participate in the lottery. And then the contract owner would be able to say, okay, we're going to have one winner that's going to win 50% of the pot, and then the other 50% of the pot can be evenly distributed or fractionally distributed to whatever they want to fund. Am I on the right track?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. That's how Lotto PGF works. Yeah, just to comment a little bit on what you said. Your dad seems to be a very smart man. Like, how the hell do we verify that the funds are going to whatever these people are saying, right? And this is what Ethereum provides us. Like, we have a way to verify that the funds are going to this specific address, and if this address is not linked to whatever people, like the people who organize the lottery, is going to, then why should we trust it, right? Like, we should just verify it in the code. And if it's going to an address that is attached to the public good that we actually care about, then we should play those lotteries, right? And as a neutral protocol, there's no way for us to kind of like enforce this thing. But we as players, as users, then we can make sure to play the lotteries that are verified, funding the public good that we care about. So yeah, absolutely, you're exactly in the right track.
And to your point, he is a pretty smart guy, because the phone call started with, "Is this price going to stay above $3,000? Because I kind of want to buy a small little truck for the house." And I said, "You don't need that truck right now, Dad." And he said, "Okay, smartest decision of the year." This is great. Okay, so. And I'm not the only one in the Discord chat. If there's anybody that in Discord that wants to open up their mic and ask some questions of Nico before we move on, that'd be great. I see B Broad is unmuting his mic. That would be fantastic. Let's get a question there, Ben.
Hey guys. Hey Nico. Hey JT.
Hello.
So my question's twofold. I was curious if you could talk about the lotto that you ran with Octant, which was they dubbed that as their I think it was one of the pilots of your program, of your new auto DAO, right? They ran a public goods sweepstakes and they used your platform. So I was curious on that. My second question was, I forget exactly where you hail from, but you're out of Latin America, and I believe you have a large population of folks in Latin America in the auto DAO and in the regen movement. And I was just curious if you can kind of talk about your experience there and kind of like what brought you to this corner of Ethereum. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ben, for the question. Well, the public goods sweepstake that Octant run and is gonna be running every Octant epoch, as far as I understood, was using Lotto PGF technology. Indeed, they basically raffled, which is kind of like the difference between Lotto PGF and a raffle. Like a raffle kind of certainly has a winner, while Lotto PGF is a number lottery where you need to pick the right number to win. So that's like the slight differentiation between those two. Um, Octant's public goods sweepstake basically rewards people who participate in their public goods funding initiatives. As you know, like if you stake GLM, then you get ETH rewards, and you can use this ETH to fund public goods. And well, Octant is staking 100k ETH that they channel, like the staking rewards they channel to fund public goods. And I would definitely encourage everyone here to check it out. And they want to encourage that even more. Like if the ETH rewards for individual stakers weren't enough, and the decision power to fund the public good weren't enough, they wanted to also encourage people to participate in these public good sweepstakes by funding public goods and get a chance to win. Like the total prize pool was 100,000 USD paid in GLM, which is their token. And they used the technology behind Lotto PGF to make these public good sweepstakes, and we're super excited to keep exploring this with them. And yeah, to your other question, I'm indeed originally from Bolivia, and the Lotto PGF narrative actually draws a lot of inspiration from not only in Bolivia but a lot of Latin American countries. And I got the chance to speak with a lot of people across the world and find out that lotteries and these kind of like chance-based games are very popular amongst communities in these regions to fund some cause or some public good together with the community, right? Like what they do is if let's say someone in the community is sick, they need to pay for the hospital bill, then they set up a lottery or a raffle to raise funds to pay for the hospital bill. Or if like they want to build a new park in their neighborhood because like the old park is dirty and destroyed or whatever, then they just organize themselves and create these like gamified kind of chance-based games to raise funds to execute those things, be it like a more charitable cause, like paying for the hospital bill of someone in the community, or building a park or a square that is kind of like forgotten by by the municipality or whatever, or a hospital. This happens like at the grassroots level. The problem is that these lotteries can and have sometimes been manipulated or used as scams. But if people were to use our protocol, then there would be literally no way for them to scam. Like every single aspect of the lottery that they deployed would be verifiable on chain. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish, like getting all these communities to use lotteries that are verifiable and that people can use to fund the public goods they care about.
That's a great point, because the administrative fee would be very transparent. So if somebody tried to deploy one of these contracts for 100 people with $1 each, and the administrative fee is 99%, like nobody would participate in that. And when you look at present day, the way lottery, like what is the administrative cost of running a state lottery system? There's probably some annualized budget somewhere in some bookkeeper's desk that says, oh yeah, it costs the taxpayer $3 million a year to host the lottery for the state. Well, how much money does it take to deploy a smart contract, right? If you scaled this up, if you think about it, and you were running on layer 2s and everything at scale, when people buy lottery tickets right now, they're paying 3% on a credit card transaction, so that dollar I was talking about for a dollar ticket is the dollar plus tax. And then the merchant has to, spend an extra 3% on the Visa, transaction fee. Well, this is pretty much all the way down to almost zero, other than maybe the smart contract deployment is on layer 1. I don't know. Take us down the road of that. I'm looking on your website here on this page here. It says 5 chains deployed. Can you go into that and maybe talk about the transaction fees a little bit while I brought up, administrative costs?
Yeah, and to be honest, like this is where it gets a little bit ridiculous if we compare ourselves to traditional lotteries, let's say like national or like nation state lotteries that are, I don't know, Powerball or Euro Millions or all these like huge lotteries.
Mm-hmm.
Their costs are variable. So like they say we spend 10% in administrative costs. It's like, so it doesn't matter how big the lottery grows, they're still gonna like take a 10% cut. Isn't that like wild? Like
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, why on earth?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what, like what we do is basically like, I know there's like maybe some marketing costs and stuff like that, but a lot of the budget for those administrative costs also go into audits and like making sure that the financial operations go smoothly and all that. Thanks to just putting lotteries on chain on Ethereum, then we can just completely get rid of those costs. Like those variable costs become, as you say, like fixed costs, because it's like pretty much the deployment costs and a little bit more. Maybe, like the marketing distribution costs are something to think about. But I would dare to say like out of that 10%, like we can get 70 or 80% of that reduced and channel that money to public goods. And it's not little money, like
Right.
if let's say $100 billion revenue that a lottery makes, then like 10% is a lot of money. So yeah, this is what we're trying to solve there. And yeah, the regarding the chains that you mentioned, this is also another product that our development company has built. Like it's a VRF, like a verifiable random function that can be deployed as a public good on any EVM chain. So even if you spin out like a roll up, then you can have this verifiable randomness off the bat. Then the costs are completely negligible almost.
It's just baked in by default.
Exactly. So, if we just add up all this technology together, then like it becomes like a funny thing, like to think that traditional lotteries takes that big of a cost. And yeah, like what frustrates the most is like that should go to fund public goods. You know?
Exactly. Nico, this is why governments are going to hate this one weird trick, is because they can't hide their phony baloney spending anywhere. So they're gonna it's kind of like it's such a great mechanism, and it sounds like it could scale relatively easily. So I mean, I'm just thinking down the road, why wouldn't they want to, if they're really serious about public goods and we want to be efficient about it, especially in areas of the world where efficiency needs to reign supreme for people to thrive, then what's the holdup other than getting a stable coin on board that people can readily on ramp to and participate? So I gotta take a quick side note here and give a big shout out on YouTube to Front Bum Lover 69. Thanks for watching the live stream, man.
Shout out to you.
these usernames. This is like my favorite part of being on Reddit, are all the usernames. They're so funny. But I got to ask you, are you going to be at ETH Denver this year? Are you going to have a booth, or how can we? Did you guys present at DevCon? Tell us about what you're doing at conferences.
Yeah, I mean, we're particularly, as let's say, Frogworks is the development company I'm part of, and that has built the protocol. Because AutoDAO, who is the owner of Lotto PGF, is actually a lot of different parties. Like from designers to now that we're building like the governance aspect, and also like a lot around the tokenomics. Like there's a lot of parties involved, but I can speak for our devco, that is Frogworks. We love going to hackathons. Like we try to not miss any of them. And actually, the concept of Lotto PGF was born last year at ETH Munich at the hackathon.
Oh.
So we try to be pretty much everywhere we can, because like our friends and the most aligned people that we like to hang out with are in this conference. I'm in fact right now at Zoo Thailand. I came here after DEF CON, and yeah, during DEF CON we also had like quite a cool presence. Part of the Frogworks team built the DEF CON auction raffle. If anyone participated in this, was a way to get DEF CON tickets by participating in an auction that was at the same time a raffle, and then you could easily, get those tickets that were quite scarce. And yeah, there's some talks about maybe using it in more stuff, even beyond DEF CON. So that's also quite exciting. But aside from that, I also gave or hosted a panel together with Griff Green, James from Octant, and Lauren from Giveth as well, about exactly what you said at the beginning. Like the title was Degen Incentives for Region Outcomes. So goes down the alley of what we're building now. Like not only us, but I think there's a lot of energy going into, okay, there's a lot of degens. Why don't we like embrace that culture and like do it for good, right? So I'm really hoping and optimistic that a lot of these new primitives are gonna play out in the next couple months. Regarding ETH Denver, to be honest, it's very uncertain for us which conference we're gonna go next. But ETH Denver is, of course, like one of the most important ones, so we will definitely try to be there. I cannot promise anything, but would love to, if we can, see you guys there.
If I may plant a seed, I'm still looking for a home to go do it, but I barbecue every year in ETH Denver, and I feed about 100 people. I do pulled pork and beans and slaw, Kansas City style. So if it works out and you get a chance to get to ETH Denver, you have to hit me up, and hopefully Ben's going and James from Octant can tell you all about it. I've cooked for 2 years or 3 years at Kevin Owaki's house for Gitcoin and Green Pill. So super modular, I should say. And so I'm still looking to see. I don't know, Ben. Maybe maybe the Doots podcast gets its own Airbnb this year. I don't know.
Let's go. Hit me up. I will. Man, you sold it very well. Like
I cooked
pulled pork and meat. That's very tempting for me. I'm from Latin America. You know what that does to me.
No, I value your criticism for sure. I value your judgment. I've had a friend of mine from Argentina that he's come to the backyard a couple of times, and he knows how to cook, and he flew back a second time. So I like to think I know what I'm doing. I did a Bankless in Austin one year also for about 120 people for Ryan Sean Adams and David Hoffman. And it's an honor. Like the barbecue thing is kind of my love language. And I love going to ETH Denver. It's just such a cool vibe there. But yeah, so if you're ever in the area, I'm hoping you'll pick that hackathon. Maybe we could meet up. And
awesome.
Go ahead.
Just like wanted to, because you mentioned Kevin Owaki, I wanted to give him a massive shout out as well, because he's been a great supporter of what we're building as well in the last couple months. Well, I was in the Green Pill podcast, and we really dove deep into what, like, it's nothing new what we're building. Like, it's a very ancient mechanism, but has been very effective. So like what it means to bring it on chain, and what maybe other like what the design space it unlocks. So it was a very very cool chat with him. And he also recently released a book,
Yep.
the On-Chain Capital Allocation book, where
Yeah.
the second edition has a chapter about Lotto PGF. So if
Oh,
anyone
really?
can have access to that, yeah, would really encourage it. I really like, I keep saying this, but the way they wrote about Lotto PGF, I couldn't have done it better. Like I literally just copy paste their description and use it for
Yeah.
for describing Lotto PGF myself. Yeah.
Owaki's brain hits different, doesn't it? So I didn't pre-ordered his book. It's the DAO. It's the How to DAO book, I think, is what he just released, right? So on that note, Auto DAO, I'm looking at your website here. It says Auto DAO. Can you tell us a little bit about Auto DAO and tell us a little bit about the Auto token?
Yeah, absolutely. AutoDAO's mission is to build digital mechanisms to fund public goods. So this is the first thing that we're doing with Lotto PGF. And like we're like the early contributors of AutoDAO are big on verifiable randomness, and like chance-based games are kind of exciting for people to play, and we believe we can leverage that to fund public goods and do some region outcomes, and while at the same time becoming like a sustainable DAO, let's say, right? Like something that a lot of people have a misconception about is that public goods need to be all about philanthropy and all about donations and all that, but we believe, and we're pushing the narrative that no, like same way as Ethereum is also like very public goods funding on its core, like we can just use these primitives smartly enough to make all these protocols sustainable. So that is pretty much the goal of AutoDAO, just funding and building these mechanisms that make public goods funding sustainable, and maybe by adding a little bit of the degen energy into the mix. And the auto token, we recently, actually yesterday, we launched our Juicebox campaign. We don't believe in giving like preferential rights to VCs or investors, so we wanted to make it as open as possible to the community, and made it available for anyone to participate in our community fundraise. If you go to juicebox.money/@AutoDAO, oh, thank you, you're pulling it out. Then you can participate in our fundraiser campaign and pay some ETH, and you will get some auto tokens in return. We're aiming to get 420 ETH to fund the development of the protocol and the DAO, and more initiatives that should come out of the community. And hopefully have some more of these primitives coming up. We have a lot of early contributors in the mix that are, I don't know, we feel very excited to have them on board. It's like throughout the conferences and throughout just building in public, let's say, we've managed to get a lot of builders and exciting people interested and contribute actively to what was like the proto DAO. And I guess in a month, when we actually launch the token after the community race, it's gonna become like an actual DAO on chain. It was just a very exciting journey, and we would love to see some of the EVM Mavericks be part of it as well, because we know how aligned they are, and that's our goal, like just to get as many aligned people into the DAO as possible.
Okay, so help me understand. So when you contribute and you purchase auto tokens, it's locking your ETH. Is it something you unstake later on, or is it just you're donating it?
Well, you're kind of paying ETH, and then you get auto tokens in return. And we have the goal of 420 ETH. If we don't reach the goal, then we're gonna enable redemption. So that means that if you paid, then you can just claim the money back because we didn't reach our goal. So Juicebox, we work very closely with the people behind Juicebox, an amazing team, by the way. Like if you want to raise funds, I would really recommend it. It's a very transparent platform. Like they have the same values as us, like trying to make it as transparent, verifiable, and you know immutable contracts where like whatever you decide to configure it like, then it is what it is, and then you have to go along with it. Also quite flexible in a sense, but everything is verifiable. So yeah, um, if you're into diving deep into the contracts, please make sure to check out Juicebox. And maybe like a little bit of alpha. Our campaign is on ETH mainnet, because Juicebox right now is on ETH mainnet, and well, to be honest, we would have gone on ETH mainnet anyways. But there is a new version coming up that will allow anybody to launch a campaign, and it's gonna be very natively cross-chain, with multiple L2s being added to the mix. So yeah, just wanted to shout out to the platform, because it's really amazing. Like things like the defense for the Tornado Cash developers, but also in the past, like Constitution DAO, Assange DAO, and a bunch of different initiatives, also like more on the builder side, like Cryo DAO on the DeSci side, or Broom Wallet on the more like protocol side. Then we're funded with it. So yeah, massive shout out to them.
I want to go back to something you were talking about with public goods and not everything. I think Owaki maybe mentioned this too. Just because you're helping to finance a business that is intending to produce a profit does not necessarily mean that it's not public goods. Like profit is okay. I think he was, the way I kind of see it in my brain is like, if there's a business out there that is trying to figure out a better way to recycle plastic, then good on them if they figure out a way to make it profitable at the same time. The idea of the public good part of it is the capital formation to get them launched, because not everybody even they have the idea, but they don't have the ability to get the line of credit right away to, finance it. But if a bunch of people kind of chip in and they're like, hey, I found this dude that maybe has ADHD, but he's really good at recycling plastic, but he doesn't necessarily care to like purchase a truck on his own. This is a way to kind of jumpstart them a bit, and to remove this idea that profit is somehow a net negative for the space. This is not like a hippy dippy kind of thing. This is kind of how good businesses can help get capital formation outside of the rails of the traditional banking system. And this is also like kind of like you were mentioning earlier, how major institutions are even founded in the first place in a lot of countries over the course of time. And the use of a lottery system is, it's pretty neat. It's kind of like, I DJ a lot of events where they have some kind of a raffle going on, and they spin the wheel. You're not getting your $5 back, but you might win 500, And then what do a lot of people do? I see a lot of people just put the money back into the charity, because that's people do whatever they want with the winnings. I was thinking too, like, what if there was this bootstrapping mechanism for a business where there is a lottery aspect to it, but it's almost like shared dividends over the course of time, because the team raised at least, let's say they raised at least 8 ETH for a rocket pool node or 32 ETH for a standalone node. Then you could, like, the winner of the lottery, if they break that threshold, the winner of the lottery could take a bit of the staking yield long term. Stuff like that. It gets kind of in the weeds, but like Octant, they're staking up whatever 100,000 ETH, and so those funds are getting distributed in that way constantly. It's like a self-feeding machine. So what's neat with Juicebox is, I'm guessing, or not Juicebox, but Lotto PGF, is people could set up the lottery just in that way, where people could contribute to a node, get dividend yield off of it, and then like the winner or the project itself could get the major part of the pie long term.
Absolutely. And this is also a cool aspect of Lotto PGF, is that you can decide any ERC20, like to run the lottery in any ERC20. Like This is also why we believe that Lotto PGF can make meme coins also channel some of that degen energy
Wow.
into charity, because, well, like, you let these degens like play for a lottery with their meme coin, but at the same time, like, every time they buy a ticket, like, part of their the price goes to fund a charity or a public good that they want, so that also can rally communities into a very interesting
Okay.
direction.
Okay. Hold on a second. Ben, I don't know if any other Mavericks are listening, but we got a pool of Mavericks. I wonder if you could do an NFT gated lottery amongst the NFT holders in a community to even participate in the lottery. 0696 is responding in the chat. Okay, you feel me? See what I mean? That's kind of interesting, right? So you could do not only the meme coin thing, but you could also token gate with an NFT to even participate in the lottery in the first place. Okay. And I know Logri the Bard's not here. I wish Logri was here because he always asks of our guests, great, where do we get started? Right. So that would, and he always does that because we interview a lot of guests, and the nail in it is, okay, cool. Now, how can we do this? So if the Mavericks wanted to do some kind of lottery, I mean, we would have to determine what the public good would be. It could be this podcast. It could be making a barbecue in East Denver. It could be any variety of things, related to helping developers with their tooling and like what areas are needed and so on and so forth. So interesting. And okay, so back up again. How soon can people deploy this code and get going? That it's already happening, it looks like.
Yeah, it is. It is right now. So we have our contracts audited. So Lotto PGF V1, and again, I want to highlight the fact that like every version of Lotto PGF is going to be immutable. So Lotto PGF V1 is audited and ready to be launched. We're going to launch it probably in the first quarter of 2025. But in the meantime, we're looking for like aligned partners to run their lotteries that are like cool use cases that people can draw from when they want to deploy their own. So yeah, I mean, more aligned than EV Mavericks, I don't think there will be. And about the token gated lotteries, this is what I was talking about when the design space just becomes like very interesting, right? Like, this thing wouldn't be possible with traditional lotteries. Like, it would be very hard, but thanks to this, then we can create all these different like crazier lotteries. And to be honest, I'm gonna drop a little bit of alpha here, but we're super excited about V2. Like, we've already been working on it because it's gonna be a lot more modular. Like, V1 was, let's say, like the Uniswap V1. Like, it was just to prove the concept, that V2 is gonna be the hit. So that's pretty much what we're raising funds for with AutoDAO. So it's gonna unlock a lot of very cool use cases, like the one that you mentioned with token gating the lottery for EV Mavericks, which is, yeah, I don't know. I'm super excited to explore this with whoever becomes part of the DAO in the next few months, because this is what is gonna take Lotto PGF to the next level.
We do have the Ethfinance community has a lot of DAO stewards. I'm going to go ahead and shill dailydoots.com. We didn't really we're not really doing our normal routine for this podcast, but look on this page right here, the Ethfinance delegates, and all of these people that are in our community, they are delegates for all these different protocols. So I know that we could try to round up some people to dive in with your team. This person right here, Bob Rossi, he's a really active. He's in Hot Protocol, Arbitrum, and I'm not sure which other ones, but he'd be a good person to ping about trying to get some Mavericks involved with the DAO. And maybe help produce some early adopters of the lottery for your project. So there's, what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to mention. It struck my brain, but then it went away like a fart in a skillet.
We were talking about so many things. I also wanted to touch on so many things that you mentioned, but I don't know. It's being such an exciting podcast. I'm just super happy to be here. I mean, we were talking about the design space of lotteries. We were also talking about the DAO and how it's gonna work, and maybe like about V2, how V2 is gonna look like. I don't know. I'm trying to um, like mention some of the topics that we talked about to see if we if we bring it back to your memory.
No, I think it went away just like so many of my memories do over the years recently. Yeah, I feel like just the retention goes away after a while. But I've been taking my multivitamins and trying to exercise more and eat less barbecue pork. So.
No, man, don't let that go. Don't let it go. Just exercise even more.
This is so cool. So, and how many members are on your team? I forgot. That was another question I was going to ask.
Right. I mean, let's say in the development company that built the protocol, we're four. But to be honest, like around the DAO, there we have almost 30 people like that have
Nice.
helped us. Like another development company called Blockful. They're from Brazil, like very amazing people. Also, a lot of delegates in different DAOs, very active in ENS and Optimism and Uniswap DAO. They're helping us set up like all the DAO governance systems, and we also have like Fire Eyes helping us with some of the token stuff. And some independent designers that are like very very cracked. I love working with them. Like Otto, our mascot, wouldn't be a thing without like all these visual designers. Like like they really give Otto a personality. So like contributors on multiple levels, and we all like by the day we're welcoming a bunch of people that want to help us in many fields. Yeah.
So your animator is in house here for this tweet with the frog?
Well, the animator is my brother actually. Like he's been contributing to us. Big shout out to Bubalu. That's what he goes with. But yeah, he does an amazing work. I love his work. Yeah, big support of him as a brother.
That's great job. Did you say Bubalu?
Yeah, Bubalu is his nickname.
That's really cool. Yeah, nice job on the animation. I was pretty captivated by it, and the design of the site is pretty. Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Is there anything else? What's next? I know you said you've had alpha on alpha about version 2 coming out. What's next on your calendar? Any other podcasts or interviews that you're doing you want to let people know about?
Well, we have a few lined up. Like the Juicebox is gonna interview us as well, and at DEF CON we recorded some stuff as well that is hopefully coming out very soon. I guess like the biggest alpha that I can drop about V2 is that, well, while Lotto PGF V1 only allows like if the entire number matches the winning number, then you win the prize pool. Lotto PGF V2 is going to allow you to win smaller prizes if like just a few numbers match the sum of the numbers in the winning prize, which is like more similar to traditional lotteries, but it's also going to be a lot more modular. So a lot of the things that we discussed here are going to be possible in V2, like token gating and like giving different types of tickets to different types of people. Some of the alpha is that, like, especially in the pop-up city space, there are some platforms like Lemonade, like Zuzalu.city, or Social Layer that are integrating Lotto PGF like as a protocol into their platform, sometimes even as ticketing, which is very interesting. Like we're very excited to be part of this community of builders in these pop-up cities. If you guys haven't experimented with it, I would really, really recommend it. Like, just spending 4 to 6 weeks. I know it's tough for most people, but like in an environment, it just, I don't know, it hits different. Like it's really an amazing experience. And if you're really focused enough on whatever you want to accomplish, then you get like a lot of support from the people around you. And I think this is why like the AutoDAO community has become so strong. And this is especially in the IRL space, right? Like online, we're trying to kind of build more our presence now, but you know, in the IRL space, it's been amazing. So yeah, I guess that was the alpha, and yeah, just inviting everyone to become part of the DAO. Like now is the best opportunity, just like participating, getting a little bit of skin in the game, let's say by buying some auto tokens, and then just reach out to me if you want to contribute in any way, or if you have some crazy ideas on how we can build some digital mechanisms to fund public goods. Please, this is AutoDAO is gonna be for you.
I think Austin from Astis Relay was talking about being at a pop-up city in Thailand, and he could see, he was expressing like kind of getting your feet wet can be a little bit difficult, but then once you're immersed in it, it really was something special. On the topic of DevCon, what was your overall takeaway from this year compared to years past? Do you feel like the energy and the excitement is at an all-time high? Did you see a lot of new stuff that was like, oh yeah, this is here to stay? It's always, I mean, I figured it is because it looks like there was a lot of packed talks and presentations. What was your overall takeaway?
Man, as soon as you asked the question, I got like goosebumps because DevCon is, I don't know, for me, it's like a very, very magical space. And yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't have words to describe it. You know, it's like so many things happening, like an incredible amount of incredibly smart people just coming together and like expressing their ideas, sharing their ideas, you know, like, and it goes from like cutting edge, like cryptographic primitives that, you know, like are gonna unlock whatever comes after the current state of Ethereum to, you know, like very on the grounds communities across the globe, you know, like especially in Southeast Asia, but you know, I felt a very strong presence from like African builders and South American builders, like especially from Argentina, that I think they really want to push for Dev Connect to happen in Buenos Aires, which I'm bullish on. You know, like that are actually doing very, you know, maybe not as complicated kind of like work, but incredibly meaningful, like just onboarding thousands of people into the space, into like using Ethereum for literally saving lives, like what happened in Argentina. And unfortunately it's happening, the same is happening in Bolivia. And I want to shout out to my dad actually, who is like on the ground just onboarding people to different tools on Ethereum to make sure that, you know, like their savings and their money is protected, because we're going through a crisis very similar to Argentina. Is like, I don't know, that's why I get goosebumps, you know. It's like just insane at so many different levels, like even aesthetically it's just like incredibly captivating, and every single discussion that you have with every single person there is just like, yeah, it's something new. Like you learn something new every time, and like something that you know is gonna move mountains, let's say. So yeah, I don't know. I feel I was like a scholar at DEF CON in Bogota, and I wrote like a story, like you know, like in Latin America we have like this literary genre called magical realism. So I kind of wrote like a short story using like this literary genre, and like every time I think about it, it's like every DEF CON experience is so magical that like I could rewrite this thing over and over for every single event that I go to that's Ethereum related. So and yeah, I don't know, very special, very special.
You were talking about, you could see a large presence of Africans and other things that are going on in South America. That is one thing that comes up anytime a troll comes in on Reddit. They kind of disguise their, you know, the concern about blockchain use and real world use cases. And more, you see replies in the comments about the amount of stable coin transactions taking place down there right now. Like please don't pull the rug out on this. They need a dollarization of like the stability of the air quote US dollar, in a stable form that's very fast to transfer and do money remittance. I mean, we've been talking about blockchain and money remittance now for 10 years, and it's real. And people are still asking what the use cases are. And you wonder where they're coming from, right? Because it's just, you got to almost be blind at this point and do zero research not to find something positive about that aspect of what's impactful in those areas of the world. It doesn't really make the front page news because, at least in the United States, most people, even if you're poor in the United States, are not like literally scratching rice off the floor, right? It's just, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I know this doesn't apply for everyone, but I also live in Europe, and I feel it where I live. In the US and Europe, crypto is kind of like a luxury, right?
Yeah.
Like people just see it as a game. For us in like let's call it the global south, actually there's a new term coined at DEF CON that is like the global majority that kind of encompasses like South America, Africa, and Asia. It's a necessity. Like we actually use it every day because we need it. Yeah. Like it's, as I mentioned before, like it literally saved lives. Like in Argentina, Venezuela, it literally saved lives.
The 3% of that credit card transaction, those merchants can't afford that. They can't. They're not going to pay it. So you got to have something that's much more frictionless.
Absolutely, and it goes beyond that. Like the protection of wealth. It's also big, like, and stable coins, as you mentioned, like this is what it unlocks, right? Like everyone, I know it's debatable, right? Like because stable coins still kind of like the centralized world or whatever.
That's why I air quoted the
like
US
just
dollar.
having, yeah, because it's like it's still incredible value for like what this technology makes it available for them, like which would not be possible without it. And this is already like a massive unlock, and of course there's still like a lot of things to work and to move forward and maybe move beyond that system, but like the fact that having access to it and that this technology gives us access to literally saving lives with it, it's, I don't know, for me it's enough proof that what we're doing here is incredibly valuable for this. And like again, just want to draw a little bit from what we discussed earlier, because I forgot I wanted to comment on that, like the profit thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Profit in the end is just like surplus of value, right? So like the surplus of value compared to the other system that we're generating here is insane. So like if we can get those builders in everywhere in the world who are like making this surplus of value a thing, which means profit, then please let's make it happen, right? Like we need to create value, and this is what we're doing here.
Yeah, this has been a really good conversation. And anybody else in the chat that has any questions before we wrap, let it rip. If you have anything, you can just put it in the public voice channel. So this has been a really good conversation, Nico, and I hope one day to shake your hand, but my tagline is cheers and big hugs from Kansas City, so you may get more than that. Very good. Yeah, thank you, Ben. Ben says, fantastic episode. I hope Front Bum Lover 69 on YouTube has enjoyed the show as well. All right. Well, shout out. You can find Nico on Twitter at NIC Node, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see NICNODE. Bingo. Nico Gallardo, I hope I said that correctly. LottoPGF.org. You can also follow Lotto PGF on X as well. And you guys, I'm sure, over on Warpcast and everywhere else, we're hoping someday we get off the X drug here and we move into a decentralized social media, which it looks like. I think I saw something a couple of days ago. Consensus MetaMask are spinning up some kind of a decentralized social network. So we'll see how decentralized that is, but hopefully they can make it happen. All right. Well, I hope everybody's had a good time today. Apologies on not getting the weekly Doots read out as normal. We usually do this pretty cool thing, Nico, where we do. Okay, I got to say this. Now, I was going to try to wrap the show. 5 of us moderators from Ethfinance are now working on our Ethereum. We're trying to get the main Ethereum subreddit rocking and rolling. We have a daily thread now that includes price talk, which has never been done before. It's been going pretty well. It is pretty quiet. I think part of it is people don't want to navigate 2 communities at the same time. Moderators don't want to moderate 2 communities at the same time, but we are for the next few weeks in hopes that by January 1st, Ethfinance will just fold straight over into our Ethereum. So you can think about the Ethfinance family being mostly in the daily thread, and then technical talk on the front page as it's always been. And something that we do, Nico, is we take a score. We have a moderator that scores. I'm sorry, he doesn't score. He just picks out the top 10 comments from the daily on Ethfinance, pins them to the top, and then we have another moderator that gathers the weekly top 10, and then this show is based around that. And we didn't get the top 10 figured out in time today, but at dailydoots.com, we do have our rich list of the number of people that have been on the daily count at least one time. And that rich list now has 1,107 people have made at least one daily Doot appearance with Superfizz at 218. And our top 10, Hani Abu at 95, Set One Less at 103, Ethical Trade at 103, Crypto L Currency at 107, 696 ETH at 111, Harog climbing up again at 125, Turkey Troll climbing up again at 121, Benito 2030 at 154, Logri the Bard at 155, and Superfizz at the top. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to bring this magic over to the R Ethereum subreddit and keep this podcast going with great guests like Nico from Lotto PGF. So thanks so much for smashing bells around here. Stick around after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and EV Mavericks Down, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.